Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to Bar Run Forge. We've got another fun project today, and we'll get into it here in just a second. I got to get the forge fired up and just describe what we're going to do today. We're going to be doing a roasting fork. And as we do this roasting fork, we're going to do it a little different today. For sound purposes, the blower on the forge is really loud, and I haven't gotten that figured out to put it on a switch and all that kind of stuff. I got to do that yet. So that's part of one of our projects here in the shop. So what we'll do is I'll introduce the project here in just a second, and then we'll jump right into it. And then I'll probably do some narration later on, or record that and just play it over the top of what our video is going to be, just to try a little something different with our sound. Just to let you know, we are using for our sound, the lapel mic I have here is what's called the Chemifun 2.4G. It's a handy little microphone, and it's pretty easy to set up. I'm actually running it through one of the other iPads. It's the sound that's actually coming out of this iPad right over here. And so just kind of give me an idea what you think about the sound. We're going to try to sync that up. Anyway, working on some other technical things to do here in the Forge to try to make these videos better. So the project today is going to be a roasting fork, and we're using this piece of metal. Let me see what we got exactly here. It is a piece of 3/16, and it is an inch and a quarter and 3/16. Don't ask me what that is in the millimeters. I don't know. I haven't figured all that stuff out yet, so I'll tell you later on what it might be. But anyway, what I've done is a little trick that somebody taught me, or showed me, is to try to keep the edges, the point here, as round as possible and as clean as possible, to drill a hole right in there and then make my cut into the hole. This will help prevent any kind of cold shuts right inside there, and it'll help keep this as a smooth transition between the two fork points. So what we'll be doing is we'll do the same thing that we did on the spoon. Very similar. I want to try to make as close to a matching set as possible. This is for our personal cook set. Once I get the hang of this, I'm going to start making them for sale. If somebody's really eager to get this, I guess shoot me an offer. We'll see what we can do. But anyway, we'll set down a piece of this right here so we can have the tines of the fork and enough to give strength here. Then we'll kind of taper out the rein or the handle of the spoon, or the fork, excuse me, and then we'll do very similar as we did right there. We'll set down a piece, taper it out, put a curly cue on, put a loop on it. Try to keep them all fairly equal in length. So I'm going to go ahead and make this end first. That way I can match up our distances on the rest of the piece. So let's give it a shot, and here we go. Begin by taking the piece out and splitting it on the hardy cut, just to work the tines out so where I could get them over to the anvil and split them apart. Continue to keep everything straight, flat. Using the edge of the anvil to work each tine out where it can be worked on individually. Continue to keep everything flat, straight. Working down square, you can definitely see that the hole that was drilled early has made the transition point very clean. Just begin to start working out one side of the tines, the fork tines. And working that transition point on the corner of the anvil, the edge, so that I can work each tine individually. Try to keep smooth transitions and an even taper.
trying to work a parallel taper and then working it out to a point in the taper. Still working the corner of the edge of the anvil, but trying to be careful not to get an actual point inside that transition. I have to try to clean up later. Working that taper out, and we're going to go as we normally do from square to octagon, and then we'll round it up after that. Working each of the edges and the corners down, so when we get to the final taper, everything is round and smooth, and we get to the point that we want. Just demonstrating working one tine for right now. There's no real need to do both tines on the video, since you've seen one tine, you've seen them both. So we'll work that down flat and then finish out the rounding here in just a minute. Continue to work on that transition point, keeping everything flat, and go to round. There's one tine, round it up. We'll work the other tine and come back here in just a second. And there they are, both tines rounded up and square across. We also made a mark on the anvil to check our measurement to see that both were equal. And they're pretty close. And as we begin to move the tines out of the way so we can do the set down, so we can start to taper the handle, trying to keep it fairly close to what we had with the spoon, cooking spoon that we made, trying to make a matching set. So again, working the set down on the edge of the anvil. We'll take it over the horn in just a little bit to try to keep it smooth in the transition. Again, flattening it out as we go, trying to prevent as many cold shuts or any cold shuts. Really trying to make sure we're comfortable with the amount of material set down so it's still strong, but it also is tapered down to where we had it on the spoon. As I said, taking it over to the horn, trying to make sure those transitions are smooth and not any sharp edges that might create some sort of stress riser or crack. Making a quick comparison to the spoon. Like we were fairly close and know what we need to do from there. And then we begin working the taper. There's a long taper on the front towards the tines, and then at a certain point it transitions and works back to a short taper, moving toward the ring. For comparison, flatten it out, make a few adjustments. We made a mark on the anvil to give us an idea as to where that taper transitions back from the long taper to the short taper. It gives us an idea where to make those transitions. And it also gives us an idea of where the set down for the ring will go. measurement once again. And we use the edge of the anvil once again to do a set down. And this is to create a set of material that will give us the ring. And we'll smash this down to about 1/4 of an inch, set it all the way down to about 1/4 of an inch, and then we'll go over to the hardy cut and cut off the amount of material we think we need to make the taper and the curlicue and the ring. Continually checking for alignment, keeping it straight, trying to keep the tapers equal on both sides. We'll put it back in the fire and take it to the hardy cut and cut off the amount that we're going to need for the ring. Trying to be careful not to cut all the way through with our hammer blows so that we don't damage both the hardy and our hammer. Now we begin tapering out what will be the ring. It's not going to be a very fine taper to a real tight point. Again, this needs to be fairly stout so that we can hang the fork. So we'll work that taper down just to the point where we can put a pigtail or a curlicue on the end and then loop it around to make a ring. And like all of these, we'll go from square to octagon and then to rounded up. After we've got the curlicue on, we move our way to make the ring. I went ahead and quenched the curlicue or the pigtail so that when I do hit it, that I don't damage it. I want to continue to make sure that we keep it hot enough so that we don't get some sort of stress crack and ruin all that work. Again, working around the horn of the anvil. This is one of those places where it can get, as our good buddy John Switzer at Black Bear Forge says, fiddly. So it certainly can be a point where it gets a little fiddly, a little difficult to deal with. And you just work it to where it's pretty similar to the spoon. It's not perfect. It's not an exact round hook, but it's what we're shooting for, and it certainly is functional. We begin working out and refining the way the tines are going to go. Again, one of these things where you kind of chase it back and forth until you find exactly what you're looking for and try to keep things symmetrical. It's probably the more difficult portion of this, is trying to match everything up and then trying to keep everything still round. You spend a lot of time working these tines to round, and you certainly don't want to beat them flat again. Again, back and forth, just working over the tines. certainly not a pro at this. This is just something I really enjoy doing and just kind of learning as I go. But I'm definitely enjoying doing the process. Using a set of scrolling tongs that essentially I made out of needle nose pliers, and we've decided to go with what's called hips on the fork tines. That's why some of you were wondering why they were so wide at the time. We're actually going to bring them in a little tighter by using the hip method. So just making some final adjustments to them before we put the curves into everything.
Well, we did it. We completed our roasting fork and tried to match it up as best we could to the spoon. So we'll kind of give a demonstration. It's still a little warm. Just kind of show you what we did there. Tried to do it with what we call the hips on it, and I think it came out all right. Make a comparison to the two. Fairly uniform on the curves. So I'm pretty pleased with that set. We still have the spatula and the steak turner to do. But anyway, as you know, we try to end each project with a little bit of biblical text to go with it, some context. And so this afternoon, I really wanted to pull you into what David had to say. Here it is, Psalm 34:8. Taste and see that the Lord is good. Oh, the joys of those who take refuge in Him. So I thought, man, okay, we're making a roasting fork. We're going to make some great things around the fire. And it's going to come a point in time where we're going to taste those things around the fire. So I wanted to direct you towards that. You know, David went through a lot in his life. He made his own mistakes. He made his own problems for himself. But you know, there are times that you and I are going to make mistakes. There are times that you and I are going to just flat out screw up. The difference in it all is how we respond, what our perspective is. And so I have to ask the question, what's your perspective? If we spend all our time talking about the things that are not going the way we planned, we're going to lose sight of the things that really taste good. So take the time. Take the time to look and see, to taste and see it. Now, what does that mean, to taste and see? It means we really got to dig into it. We really got to take our portion God dishes out to us. Now look, God doesn't dish out the nasty stuff. In the midst of all this, God gives us blessings. Those are the things that we taste and see. We taste and see that the Lord is good. Oh, the joys. Oh, the joys of those who can do that, who can really just dig in and grab a bite. I just encourage you today to taste and see that the Lord is good. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I just really hope that you would subscribe to the channel so that you can see more of this content. We also hope that if you did like this video, press the like button, and also hit that bell so you can be reminded of each time that one of our videos comes out. Again, this is Troy from Barr Run Forge. I'm just so happy you were with us, and God bless. We'll see you on the next one.